everybody, it is me, Chasey Poo, and today I'm going to be talking to you about how my endocrinologist reacted to me going off of hormones and then wanting to go back on. This was a question that somebody had asked me, and I thought that would make a pretty good video. If you didn't know, I was on testosterone for a year, and then I decided to go off. If you want any of those videos, like I've made so many about why I went off, but I'll put those links in the description below. Long story short though, I felt like the changes were too fast for me, and I felt like I have a hard time with change. Like I have a really hard time with change. Like even like moving, like I moved 2 floors up and it messed me up for 8 months, you know? So I need to go slowly in things and get used to things and stuff like that. So I decided to go off of tea. And I listened to my body, and then eventually I did go back on, but I had to bring this up to my doctor. So what I did was that I didn't go to the endocrinologist office because it's very hard to get an appointment. It takes like 3 to 5 months to get an appointment. So I actually called them and I was like, it's an emergency. I need to talk to the endocrinologist. I need to ask him if it's okay to stop tea, because I didn't know, right? Now there's way more information out there, and that's really fantastic. And it's like we're contributing to this knowledge that didn't exist before. But in 2011, when I was 1 year on tea, or about to be 1 year on tea, I didn't know if it was okay. Like, am I gonna die? Is it bad? So I waited for a phone call, and I finally got a phone call 2 weeks later. Like, it's an emergency. 2 weeks later, I get a phone call, and I asked him, is it okay to get off of tea? And he was very confused. He was like, I mean, you're not gonna die or anything. You can get off of it. And I was like, do I need to like go slowly, like titrate off? Is that what it's called? Where you like take less and less and less, because you have to do that with other medications. So I just wanted to know if like if you stop like that, it's bad for you. I wasn't sure, right? I had no idea what was going on, no idea what to do. And he said that I could do it that way, or I could just stop, which just get really confusing to me. And I was like, okay, so basically I have no answers. So I decided to slowly go off, but he was very confused. So honestly, the easiest response to this question is, how did your endocrinologist react? He was a little confused as to why I, a trans man, would want to go off testosterone. But I think that it's because not many people talked about being like non-binary or squiggly, or wanting to just go on hormones for certain changes and stuff like that. Not that that's who I am and what I wanted, but it's more talked about now. So I feel like it's more accepted. And if I told him like I want to go off of hormones again, I think that his reaction would be different than his reaction originally. But that's just, I mean, I'm speculating here. So I did have an appointment with him. I wanted to keep my prescription because I didn't want to have to like maybe go to a different therapist later on and get another letter if I wanted to go back on. So I decided to still go to my appointments, and that's where like it kind of got like a little like because it wasn't over the phone, and it wasn't like he's confused over the phone, he's confused in person. And I asked him if I could maybe go on a lower dose of tea, and he was like, I mean, you could do that, but it's not really going to do anything. And here's the thing. When you see an endocrinologist that deals with a lot of trans patients, you expect them to know everything. So you kind of not see them as God, but see them as like, you are the provider. I'm going to trust myself and my body in you completely, because I believe that you have my health to the best. Like, you want to treat me as best as your ability that you can. And yeah, of course, like he wants to do that, but he's not an expert in my body. You know what I'm saying? He's an expert in endocrinology and like diabetes, and he prescribes a lot of hormones for a lot of trans people in Montreal. But in terms of like an expert, we sometimes need to realize that people, even though they say that they're experts, or he doesn't say he's an expert, but like a lot of people go to him, they're not always right? So I had to do a lot of research by myself, and then I realized that, you know, I can go on a lower dose of tea, and that's okay. And it just means that the changes are just going to go a lot slower. And you know what? That's great for me. And of course, I didn't bring any of that up before I started hormones. I didn't tell him, hey, I'm really scared of change, and I want the changes to go slower because, you know, I want to be able to deal with them and my brain needs to catch up. Absolutely not. I wanted to get on hormones like that. I wanted the changes to go fast like that. But when they were actually changing fast, and, you know, my voice was changing, which was fine, but my face was changing, and I was getting facial hair, like it was fine. I wanted that. I absolutely wanted that. But it was too fast for me and too fast for my brain to kind of adjust to what was going on. And I think that it was just a shock to my system. And I didn't want to tell him that, you know, because I didn't have those words. I didn't know it was going to mess me up. And I was really scared to bring it up to him afterwards, because I thought that he wasn't going to give me tea, and he was going to somehow put it in my file that I'm not trans and I'm faking it because I wanted to get off of tea. And luckily now there are way more resources out there, and that you know that other people have gone off of hormones, and it's okay to go off of hormones, and if you need to, and some people need to go off because they can't afford it, some people want to take a break, some people just want to be on it for a year, like it doesn't matter. But originally my endocrinologist, who is not a trans specialist, but a lot of trans people go to him, he was a little bit confused, but he seemed to be fine with it later on. I went back on injections when I went back on T after 10 months being off, and he was fine with that. I'm pretty sure he had prescribed me a specific dose, but I wanted to be at a lower dose because I didn't want to change too quickly. I wanted to change. I wanted to go back on T. I knew I needed to go back on it because I stopped passing when I was off of T, and then I was like, okay, yeah, I definitely need to be on T, and that kind of like solidified the like, I absolutely need to transition, which I made a video about this not too long ago. I'll put that link in the description below. Like, obviously I'm not recommending like take things into your own hands or anything like that, but I believe that I had asked him if I could go on a lower dose, and he said yes, so I did, but I think my prescription was just for like 0.5 more than it was. But yeah, so I kind of stood up for myself and told him what I needed, and he was okay with that. So I'm really glad that I had somebody that was open-minded like that. Pretty sure that now in 2018, 2019, people are way more open, and it would be easier to talk to an endocrinologist about things like this, even if you're scared of the changes going quickly, even before you start hormones. Like, I think some medical providers who are working with trans people understand that, you know, changes are quick, and some people don't want that. Some people want them to be fast. Some people, they just need a break. So I was okay with going on a lower dose of tea, and I'm still on that lower dose of tea actually now. My levels though have gone up and down, but that's unrelated to me going off the first year. So yeah, that's what I just wanted to talk about a little bit, just to kind of tell you what has happened, and what my endocrinologist said about me going off tea. And it made me feel good that I was still trans, I guess, and still validated in his eyes, because I felt like a lot of people online at that time were like, you're detransitioning. I was like, I'm not detransitioning. What's going on? Anyways, let me know what you think in the comments below. Have a great day. Bye.